What is up, best ball brethren, fantasy football freaks? I am Tim from FantasyNow Plus, and I am here today to give you the best pick in every round of fantasy football drafts. The context I'll be using is best ball. I am a best ball lover, best ball aficionado, if you will, but you can still apply this to your redraft leagues, especially your home leagues. The later players that we'll be talking about are going to be very much someone that you should consider drafting with your last round picks in redraft. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it with round one. We've got CeeDee Lamb going right around pick 10 on Underdog, on Drafters, on DraftKings, pretty universally, right around that range. And I just think that's wrong. And I'll tell you why. Last year, CeeDee Lamb scored 3 receiving touchdowns total. 3. He did miss a few games, but only a few. He played a pretty large schedule for the most part, still 14, 15 games. And he had 3 touchdowns. He had several very long receptions that basically didn't result in touchdowns that should have. He got vultured by Javonte Williams multiple times, especially early in the season. As he got injured, as the injuries started to pile up, the targets were still there, but a lot of the touchdown luck continued to go to George Pickens, to Javonte Williams, even to Jake Ferguson to some extent. And I feel like the entire fantasy community is just kind of forgetting that CeeDee Lamb is an elite wide receiver. He is cream of the crop, top 3 to 5 in this league. He's in his athletic prime, and he still has a great quarterback attached. He still has Dak Prescott. And I know that George Pickens is good. I get that. I think George Pickens is a great wide receiver too. Absolutely. He is not the wide receiver 1. He just isn't. I'm sorry. Not from a target earning perspective, not from a game planning perspective. Every time CeeDee Lamb was healthy, he was the primary target earner. It was not particularly close. And he just ran bad on touchdowns, and he ran bad on a couple games that he played but got knocked out very early, as well as missing a few games on top of that. So his stat line left a lot to be desired for sure, but he is going behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I think that's very close for sure, but he's also going right around the same range as Justin Jefferson. And if I had to ask you which quarterback you'd prefer between Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, and Kyler Murray, I think just about everyone besides some Lions fans and some Vikings fans would say Dak Prescott. And I would agree. He is clearly the best quarterback of that group. Now, you might say, yes, but George Pickens is by far the best number 2 out of those 3 options. And I would agree with that as well. Is he better than T. Higgins? Because Jamar Chase has T. Higgins next to him, and Jamar Chase goes at the 3rd spot, sometimes the 4th, although with Puka's injury, he's more cemented in the 3rd spot as of late. But what really is the functional difference between T. Higgins and George Pickens? I would say Pickens is more talented, but is he like that more talented? Truly? Like, both of them could easily be an alpha on a different team if they were given the shot. We've seen Pickens as an alpha in Pittsburgh. Obviously, the quarterback play was abysmal, and he was earlier in his career, so it's a little unfair to judge that as his ceiling as an alpha. But still, we're talking about minutia of a difference between George Pickens and T. Higgins. But CeeDee Lamb goes 9 picks later. Well, math is hard. About 7 picks later than Jamar Chase. And I just don't think that that is accurate. I think Lamb has just as much upside as Jamar Chase. I think Lamb is within 98 to 99% as talented as Jamar Chase. I think their offenses project very similarly. We expect them to be very high scoring. We love the quarterbacks in both. We love the offensive pace of play. We think both defenses are still going to be mediocre to bad more on the Cincinnati Bengals side. But I don't think the Cowboys are just going to have a top 10 defense and just become like a grinded out offense with Javonte Williams. Like, that's just not going to happen. So in the first round, I think Lamb is just a better bet than Justin Jefferson for sure. I think he's basically a similar bet to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And more importantly, he's a much better bet than Ashton Genty, who I love, but is like a full projection in the first round. We're projecting that he takes a leap to become a Bijan Robinson-esque player, but we have technically not seen that yet. He's a much better pick to me than James Cook, who, even though is talented and is in a good offense and has a lot of opportunity, still doesn't get nearly as much snaps as I would like for my first round pick running back to get. He's still losing some passing work. He's still losing some goal line work. He has a floor that I don't particularly enjoy in the first round. And even Jonathan Taylor, who I do have ahead of Lamb by one spot, but the Colts offense could really crater. It really could. Like, I know Daniel Jones was serviceable last year, but he has never been a good NFL quarterback. He now has a torn Achilles that he's recovering from. Yes, he's healthy, but the only thing that made Jones really usable as an NFL quarterback was his legs, and he's not going to run that much this year on a torn Achilles unless he just miraculously recovers and is exactly who he was before that injury. But I doubt that. And the Colts offense is injured and it's thin and it's basically just Jonathan Taylor. And yes, Jonathan Taylor is talented enough to carry them a certain way. He did so last year. There's no saying that he can't do that again, but the circumstances are not great. He has a lot of risk, and I just don't think CeeDee Lamb has risk. I think he has a very, like, last year was his floor, and sure, that's not great for a first round pick, but it's not season ending, it's not team ending, it's not championship losing either. He was fine. He just wasn't great like we were hoping him to be, but he was fine. That's his floor. His ceiling is that he's great again, is that he's a top 3 wide receiver. He could be the wide receiver 1 overall any given season. All he needs is touchdowns to bounce his way. All he needs is to stay healthy. I think Lamb is just way too good of a pick at the back end of the first. Every time he is there, I'm pretty much clicking him. Let's move on to round 2. There was definitely some running backs in the early parts of round 2, especially in best ball, that I love. I think are very good clicks, mainly Saquon Barkley and Kenneth Walker, but they do not make it onto this video for me because Malik Neighbors is now a round 2 pick, and he's the best pick in round 2 to me. Malik Neighbors is an elite wide receiver, and that's simply how I treat him. He has produced at an incredibly high level both seasons that he's played. Obviously, he's coming off a major knee injury. He was going cheaper earlier in draft season, especially in best ball, 4th, 5th round sometimes. But he has come back to camp. He looks healthy for the most part. There's still maybe a question if whether he plays like week 1 or not, but it seems very unlikely he's going on PUP. It seems very unlikely he's missing more than 1 or 2 games at most. And in that case, he's the primary target of this offense. He's going to get a lot of easy stuff, a lot of difficult stuff. He's going to win at every level, as he has. Whether his athleticism is at 100% or not, time will tell. If it is, he's a smash pick. If it's not, he's a good pick. So in that case, even in round 2, I know that the Giants offense is somewhat scary. We like Jackson Dart. We like Cam Scattaboo. We obviously like Neighbors, but it is a Matt Nagy offense, and that does give me pause. But I think Neighbors is just one of those talents that will just ascend regardless. And even if Dart is mediocre or injured, they have Jameis Winston behind him. He will target the crap out of Malik Neighbors if he gets in the game. So I think it's an offense that probably won't be very good, but I think Malik Neighbors will be very good. And again, touchdown luck. If he catches 12 touchdowns this year just because he's Malik Neighbors, he's a smash. You can get him at the end of round 2. You can pair him with a Jamar Chase, a Puka Nakua, a Bijan Robinson, or a Jahmyr Gibbs at the 101. In round 3, it's Trey McBride. He just had one of the best tight end seasons of all time in fantasy and in the real NFL. And he's not even the first tight end taken in fantasy football drafts. That goes to Brock Bowers, who I love. He was in consideration for round 2 on this video as well. But Trey McBride has proven it. He's cheaper. And the situation didn't really change for him. It's still Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. It's still Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson at wide receiver. The only thing that changed is that their running back room is better, deeper, and healthier than it was all of last season. James Conner, who was their starter, is now their third string running back. Trey Benson, who was their mix-in change of pace back, is now their fourth string running back. They have Tyler Algier as their RB2, and they drafted Jeremiah Love with the 3rd overall pick. Whether that was a good pick or not, I'll keep out of this video as a Cardinals fan. I'm not going to go on a 15-minute diatribe about that. But needless to say, the offense has all the pieces to not necessarily replicate what they did last year, because last year was an absurd amount of passing attempts, an absurd amount of playing behind. Their defense was ridiculously injured all last season. Their running back room was ridiculously injured. They were playing Amari DiMarcado. They were playing Bam Knight, Michael Carter by the end of the year. It was bad. I think Corey Kiner even got some action. Like, they had to throw. And when they had to throw, it went to Trey McBride and Michael Wilson. And I question whether Michael Wilson will continue to see that target volume, but I don't question if Trey McBride will. Trey McBride is the best player on this offense by a wide margin. He's, in my opinion, the best tight end in football. He can block, he can catch, he's got everything you need, and he doesn't have Kyler Murray anymore, and Kyler just couldn't get on the same page with McBride around the red zone. He now has Jacoby Brissett, he has Gardner Minshew, he probably will see Carson Beck at the end of the year, unless the Cardinals really surprise, but either way, Trey McBride, middle of round 3, is a smash pick. If you want to go elite tight end early in your draft, he's the guy to do it with. I love Brock Bowers, but if I can have a 2v2 of, let's say, Amarian Hampton or Chase Brown and Trey McBride versus Brock Bowers and Travis Etienne or Kyron Williams, I'm picking Chase Brown and Trey McBride, So round 3, Trey McBride, don't be afraid. The Cardinals offense was already bad last year. Everything went wrong for the Cardinals last year. If it goes right, he could still produce very similarly. He could be even better. We don't know. All we know is that he's got a very safe floor, a very high ceiling, and he will win you weeks at the tight end spot, and that is a very rare trait. My round 4 is one of my favorite clicks in all of fantasy this year. It's Jalen Waddle, a newly traded for wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. We know that Jalen Waddle is good. We know that Jalen Waddle has the ability to be great when he's the primary target. That did not really play out very much in Miami outside of his rookie year and somewhat last year, but last year was a dysfunctional offense with a dysfunctional Tua Tagovailoa, dysfunctional offensive line, and Waddle got injured. And that is certainly probably the biggest question mark with Jalen Waddle. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay out of the blue medical tent? But to be honest, the injury thing, while real, is also somewhat fake. He doesn't miss that many games. He just leaves a lot of games early and either comes back or doesn't come back, which again, still hurts you for fantasy, but injuries aren't predictive for the most part. We don't have an algorithm to tell us that this player is going to get injured this year or not going to get injured. It's all dumb luck. Sure, some players might get injured more historically. What the reasoning for that is, we'll probably never know. But I'm not drafting being afraid of injuries, because if we were doing that, we wouldn't have taken early round running backs the last 2 years, and we would have lost because no running backs got hurt the last 2 years. in one of the biggest fantasy anomalies we've ever seen. So, from a pure talent perspective, Jalen Waddle is much better than a fourth-round pick. He's probably more of a second to third-round pick. He's on a high-powered offense in the Broncos. Bo Nix threw the most pass attempts in the NFL last season, which is a stat that not many people might know. And he's wildly better than Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton's on the back end of his career. He's still a totally fine jump ball, red zone, T. Higgins-esque, but much worse than T. Higgins number 2. Jalen Waddle is in his prime. He's still a great athlete, still great speed, can operate over any area of the field with efficiency. And Bo Nix will probably target the crap out of him, if I had to guess, because he is by far the best weapon that Bo Nix has ever had in the NFL. And we have seen Sean Payton offenses figure out how to utilize elite weapons. You know, we have Michael Thomas years. We have plenty of other Saint wide receivers, Saint running backs over time where they just carried the load. They were the plane. I am expecting that for Jalen Waddle. If he holds up over a 17-game sample, he's a smash pick in the 4th. You can sometimes even get him in the 5th, in which case you should be skipping for joy. But for the most part, he's pretty firmly in the 4th now, sometimes in the 3rd. But love 4th-round Jalen Waddle. He is definitely a receiver that I will have a lot of in best ball and will be targeting heavily in redraft. Now to round 5, we've got Mike Evans, newly of the San Francisco 49ers. And it's pretty simple to me. We love Kyle Shanahan offenses. We love players that can score touchdowns, that are consistent. We've married those two things together. Yes, again, injuries are a concern, especially in San Francisco, where basically everyone is getting injured at this point. But when he's healthy, when the Niners are on, Mike Evans will be the primary target of this team. He will be a weapon that Kyle Shanahan will use in ways that we might not have ever seen Mike Evans used before, and that's exciting in round 5. He has downside for sure, but you know, we're in round 5. We're going to continue getting more and more downside built in as we get along. But even in a direct comparison of another older wide receiver on a great offense that goes right next to him, Devontae Adams, I like Evans far more at cost. Obviously, he's the 1. Adams is the 2. Adams, most of his production came from a high touchdown rate. Whether that's sticky or not is unclear, if the Rams are just going to do it again this year or not with Adams. But Mike Evans can still earn targets. He is still separating. He is still producing at a pretty good rate. It took a step back last year, but he was also hurt last year. So it's hard to say whether that step back would have occurred, whether he was healthy all season or not. But even still, we like 49ers. We like investing in that offense. He's only a 5th-round pick. You're not making a huge investment. You know, you're not betting that he's a 2nd or 3rd round pick, you know, but he could finish with that type of value in this season if things go his way. And that's why I like him. Moving on to round 6, we've got our first running back finally. It's Jadarian Price, rookie, 1st-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks. And this is simple to me. Is he Kenneth Walker? I don't think so. I don't. Is he much better than Emmanuel Wilson and George Halani? Absolutely. Is he better than Zach Charbonnet? I think so. And I think the Seahawks think so as well. So even if Charbonnet comes back healthy earlier than we expect, he will probably eat into some work from Jadarian Price, but I don't think it will be enough that will make a 6th-round pick on him in best ball a bad selection. He goes even cheaper in redraft. He's a much bigger target in redraft even than in best ball. And I think, you know, even if he's just another Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another 32nd pick, in the first round that turns out to be a mistake. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a perfectly serviceable rookie season. He saw plenty of touches. It was a pretty similar backfield from like a talent perspective as far as what CEH was dealing with and who he was competing against in Kansas City. And I just think Price has some explosiveness. He has some unknowns that we don't know with a limited college profile playing behind Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. And I think Price is just worth betting on. He has upside. He has a job that is his to lose. If he gets passing work, you win. If he gets all the work, you really win, regardless of how good the offense is. We don't even really have to price in how good or bad the offense is going to be into this bet. Obviously, we'd like it to be good because that will increase his touchdown upside. But even if it's a bad offense, he's still the starting running back. He's still very unlikely to cede too much work to any of the tertiary backs in this offense. And he could be really good. We don't know. That's the allure of him in the 6th round. That's why he's the best pick in the 6th round to me. Moving on to round 7, we're up to our first quarterback, and it's Jalen Hurts. Round 7 Jalen Hurts is flat out wrong. He should be going in the 5th round alongside Lamar Jackson, and that's also where Jaden Daniels should be going and is not. That's where Drake May should be going and is not. That's where Joe Burrow should be going. I'd be okay with saying Burrow is fine in the 6th round where he's currently at, but that's where all the elite quarterbacks should be going. And Jalen Hurts falls into the 7th, and I don't get why. I understand that last year was bad. I get it. I understand that there are questions on like how good of a quarterback he truly is. It doesn't matter. He gets 15 rushing touchdowns a year just for free. Like, that's 6 points every time he does that. And if he also gets 25 passing touchdowns, you've got a 40 touchdown season just really easily. And again, he's not going to run for 1,000 yards, but he's going to run for 400 to 700 any given year, which is very good for quarterbacks. They're called Konami code quarterbacks for a reason. They are cheat codes. And yes, he's not going to throw for 4,000 yards, but 3,000, 3,200, again, mixing in 10 to 15 rushing touchdowns with the tush push, like, there's no downside here. There's none. He's not getting benched. He's not getting cut. He's not getting traded. They've won a Super Bowl with this guy. I don't get it. I know that last year has a bit of a stink on him, but we're not drafting last year's Jalen Hurts. This is a new offense, a new offensive coordinator, a new scheme. They still have Saquon. They still have Devonta Smith. They added Mekhi Lemon. They added Eli Stowers. They added Dontavian Wicks. They still have Dallas Goedert. Like, this is still a good offense from a talent perspective, even without A.J. Brown. Will it be a little different? Absolutely. But different could be good. You know, when they hired Kellen Moore, they won a Super Bowl. So I'm going to buy the dip every time he gets to me. And I think you should in redraft as well, where, again, he goes even cheaper than round 7. Round 8 for me, RJ Harvey, again of the Denver Broncos. He's not the starting running back right now. I totally get it. I'm with you. But he might be by the end of the season, which in most best ball contests is all that we care about. And he's just more talented than J.K. Dobbins. And I think he's more talented than Jonah Coleman. And he's definitely more explosive than both of them. Is he going to be a pure workhorse that's getting 25 touches a game in any universe? Probably not. Almost certainly not, in fact. I don't think he's built for it. I don't think he's got that type of upside in him. But he does have a very strong receiving profile. He has a great explosiveness to his game that no one else in that backfield has. If he takes a step forward as a runner, if J.K. Dobbins gets hurt for the umpteenth time in a row in his career, which he has every single season of his career, this is Harvey's backfield. They'll probably mix in Jonah Coleman. They might mix in whatever fourth running back makes this team, whether it's McLaughlin or Bidet or someone else at this point. I don't even know. But Harvey has a lot of contingent upside built in. He has a lot of explosiveness and a high-powered offense like I talked about with Waddle. We might want this guy, and I don't have to pay a lot to get him. I know he's not a zero. He's got a receiving floor. He's got explosive plays in his arsenal that will almost certainly happen in any standard deviation season. If he has more explosive plays than normal, if he has a higher workload than we expect, if any of those things go his way, he more than pays off ADP. If none of those things go his way, he's a small miss at worst. Like, he's probably someone you would have rather taken in the 12th to 14th round instead of the 8th, but like, he doesn't kill your team. The only way he kills your team is if he gets injured, which, you know, is what you want. On to round 9. We're going back to the quarterback position, and it's Patrick Mahomes. I get it. He tore his ACL. That is not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. But it doesn't matter because he's back. He basically looks healthy already, and he's Patrick Mahomes. He is the best quarterback in football. You can argue with a wall. And let's be honest, this offense is the most exciting it's been in a half decade, basically since Tyreek Hill was last the Chief. Eric Bieniemy is back calling the plays. They have Kenneth Walker as their running back now, a far cry from their running game of the last 3 to 4 years with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and the gang. Rashee Rice is not getting suspended. Xavier Worthy has a chance to not separate his shoulder on the second play of the season and be injured all year. We're getting some camp buzz on their rookie receiver, Cyrus Allen. We still have Tyquan Thornton in the mix. I just think Mahomes is primed to bounce back. And yes, he's probably not going to run as much, which was really carrying his fantasy value last year. Totally get it. Totally agree. But at the end of the day, Mahomes is very talented, is the best quarterback in football. He makes plays. He finds his receivers constantly. And we could easily get a 4,540 season for Mahomes, and no one would be shocked. No one would be surprised. And you can get Mahomes in round 9 in best ball. You can get him even later in redraft as your QB1, and that feels great. It really does. And finally, halfway through this video, round 10, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt of the Washington Commanders. He is probably going to win this backfield, in my opinion, in my estimation, by all reports. And this is a backfield that we want to invest in. We believe in the Commanders' offense, even though it is a new offensive coordinator. We still know that Jaden Daniels is supremely talented. Terry McLaurin is still good. They added Stephon Diggs. They added Chigakonkwo. And the only running backs that they added are Rachaad White for $2 million and a 6th round pick, maybe even 7th round pick, I don't remember off the top of my head, Katron Allen, in a bad running back class. So this is JCM's backfield to lose, in my opinion. It really is. And I don't think he's going to lose it. I just don't. I just don't think Rachaad White gives this offense what they're looking for. I think they've been working with JCM on his pass catching, on his pass protection, all of that good stuff. It sounds like he's made a lot of good progress. It sounds like they're happy with what they give. And it sounds like they don't really want to take JCM off the field that much. They don't want to tip their hand and just bring in Rachaad White every time it is a passing down, every time it is a obvious place where they're not going to rush the ball. They want someone who does not tip their hand, and JCM, with the ability to catch, does not tip their hand. Rachaad White is fine as a backup running back, but that's what he was paid to be, as a backup running back. They gave him $2 million. That's nothing. It's really nothing. He's fine. He's an average running back. I think they believe that JCM is better than average, and I can get him in the 10th round pretty consistently. He has risen up boards. Used to be cheaper. I was smashing the button there. I'm still smashing the button now. He's a starting running back on a good offense, and if I'm wrong about that, so be it. It's a 10th round pick. He might still have a game or two that he gives me 20 points. He did that last year where he just broke off some big runs. Whether he's the goal line back or not, I don't know. Whether he's the pass catching back or not, I don't know. But he has upside. He has a workload that's his to lose. And I think he's more talented than people will give him credit for. Alrighty, folks. We're halfway through. This is 20 rounds. There's a long video, but that's okay. You are tuned in here. You are excited. You are ready to hear rounds 11 through 20. But before I do that, I do just want to give a quick shout out to drafters. I love drafting on drafters. It is easily my favorite best ball site out there. And if you want to join us on drafters and you have not signed up yet, you can do so using the promo code that you see down below, FN plus. That is just the letter F, the letter N, and the plus symbol, obviously all caps. When you do that, when you make your first deposit on drafters, you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit $25, you will get $25 as a free deposit match from drafters. If you deposit $100, you'll get $100 in free deposit match. If you deposit $500, you'll still only get $100. But let's be honest, who's mad about a free $100 to draft best ball teams or do pick'ems? They have pick'ems for basically every major sport. They have drafts for basically every major sport. Obviously, football is the big one right now. That's what you're here for. But if there are other sports that interest you, they have some smaller dollar tournaments. They have some smaller dollar drafts. Check them out. Use the promo code FN+. Again, huge shout out to drafters. Happy to be partnered with them. Happy to be drafting on that site all summer. Alrighty, folks. We are back with round 11. It's Aaron Jones, running back, Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if he's the starter or not. I tend to believe that it's probably going to be Jordan Mason, and Aaron Jones is more of the pass catching, more of the change of pace, mix in back. But it could just be Aaron Jones again, even at his advanced age for the running back position. He was not very efficient last year. Neither Viking running back was, but J.J. McCarthy was their quarterback. And regardless of what you think of Kyler Murray, as a quarterback, he still runs, and that greatly increases the efficiency at the running back position when you have running quarterbacks next to them. And that will help Aaron Jones. And if Aaron Jones is the starter, you're getting him in round 11 in best ball. And you'll feel great about it because you'll get probably 12 to 18 points every week, more or less, just with the pass catching floor. You have a little bit of touchdown upside. You have good offense upside. If Kevin O'Connell can work some magic, and if Kyler Murray is not dust like the entire NFL fan base seems to think for some reason, Aaron Jones might be dust. I'll fully admit that. I'll fully say that. I kind of believe that even, but he's still going to get a pretty good workload on an offense that could be pretty good. And that's what you want. And he is in the second half of your best ball draft. He can be your RB3, your RB4, your RB5, even your RB6 in some builds. And you feel great about it, regardless of where he's at in your line of running backs. So I know that there's downside. I know that he's on the back end of his career, and I know that he's almost certainly not going to just be the bell cow, but he will get plenty of touches. He will get plenty of high value touches. And if it's a good offense, he has touchdown upside that's hard to get. Round 12, we're talking about Dallas Goedert. A.J. Brown is gone. Mekhi Lemon is injured. He's going to get off to most likely a slow start, having missed a lot of training camp, missed a lot of preseason. Dontavian Wicks is new to the system and new to Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. He has looked good for sure, but Dallas Goedert still has a very clear place on this team. He's not going to just take a back seat to Eli Stowers in year one. And when Dallas Goedert is the secondary target of Jalen Hurts, he absolutely smashes. And there's upside and opportunity for him to be the secondary target this season, especially to start. Who knows what happens later? Who knows how good Mekhi Lemon and Dontavian Wicks actually are? We know how good Dallas Goedert is. Yes, again, over 30, starting to tail off a little bit, but the Eagles do not ask him to do athletic stuff. They don't ask him to be winning with speed or agility or anything like that. He finds the soft spots at the zone. He operates in the red zone. He is a safety blanket for Jalen Hurts, and he can smash at this ADP. He's in the 12th round. We're talking in the 140s at this point for Dallas Goedert. In best ball, he's most likely your tight end 2. He could be your tight end 1. You feel good about it either way. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to pay off this ADP. And there's a chance that he absolutely smashes this ADP. He, with the touchdown upside, with the number 2 target upside, he has a top 5 tight end season in his range of outcomes. It's not the likeliest outcome by any stretch. I would say it's probably like 5 to 10% for happening. But when you can get a 10% chance on a top 5 tight end in round 12, like, yes, please. That sounds great. I love that. Especially because, again, the floor is safe. Outside of injury concerns, he's not getting usurped. He's not going to just become like the 5th option on this team all of a sudden. He is very safe in the pecking order. He's similar to a Jake Ferguson who goes right around the same range, but Ferguson has premier pass catchers in front of him that he will never pass unless they are injured. The only pass catcher that Goedert very safely cannot pass is Devonta Smith. And Devonta Smith is also injured right now. So love Goedert at his price. I think he's a great early season hammer. And he could just last all year. And that would be great for our teams. That'd be great for our best ball teams. 13th round. If you've tuned in to any of my best ball live streams or my partner best ball live streams with Brian, you know who this is. It's Travis Hunter, cornerback, Jacksonville Jaguars. I get it. I get all the negative arguments for him. I get the nervousness. I just don't agree with it. I just don't. He is the number 2 pick from last year's draft. They drafted him to play both positions. He was not talented enough as a corner or wide receiver to take him at number 2 overall and trade what they traded just for him to play one side of the ball. He is a 2-way player in the NFL, plain and simple. That's what they drafted him to be. That's how they're going to play him. The only question is how much on offense. And I think it's a lot. I do. And I think there's a lot of contingent upside that could get him to an absolute smash. I really do. We are confident in this Jaguars offense with Liam Cohen. It seems like Trevor Lawrence took the step that we were waiting for as the number 1 overall pick, finally. Parker Washington seems to be pretty firmly entrenched, at least in the coaching staff's eyes, as their number 1, as their primary read. They like Brian Thomas Jr., but they also seemed willing to move on from Brian Thomas Jr., if you believe the rumors of the past year or so. There are some in the league who say that it was absolutely on the table, that it was absolutely something they were trying to do, was trying to trade BTJ. But it sounds like he is the X. I'm talking about BTJ here. It sounds like BTJ is the X, but the X isn't really that interesting of a position in the Liam Cohen offense. You know, if you think back to the Buccaneers here, Chris Godwin in the slot was the wide receiver 2 overall in points per game until he broke his ankle. Mike Evans was fine because he's Mike Evans, and Baker Mayfield force-fed him the ball, but he didn't have a great season, a better season than he's ever had or anything like that. I think BTJ will be fine for fantasy. I think he's fine as a wide receiver. I think he's good as a wide receiver even, but I just don't think he's going to do that much from a scheme perspective. I think it's mostly Parker Washington, and there's a chance that it could be Travis Hunter. It really could be. You know, when Travis Hunter's on the field, they're going to get him the ball. And so the question starts to become a math question of how much is he on the field. If he's on the field 15% of the time, he's probably a bad pick. But that also means that he was a very bad pick at 2 overall in this draft, and that this coaching staff and this front office has basically given up. And that's not the indication at all. You know, Liam Cohen has been asked multiple times, how much is Travis Hunter playing? He laughs every time he's asked the question because he says he's playing both sides a lot. Do I think Hunter's going to get 80 to 85% of the snaps? No, not on offense, at least. I don't think so. Because wide receiver is a deep position for them. But Jacoby Myers is on the wrong side of 30. He could very easily decline. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if he got usurped by Travis Hunter. And you have 3 receivers in front of him who all are 1 injury away from Travis Hunter playing a lot, taking their jobs outright. And you still have all of the designed, built-in plays for Travis Hunter that are already part of this offense. So even if you get 50% snap Travis Hunter on offense, that could still easily amount to 60 to 80 targets, 50 to 70-ish receptions. And if he's as good as his prospect profile said, as his college tape said, that could also be 600 to 800 yards. And if you get some touchdown luck, you're looking at a smash. And if he gets way more playing time than that, the sky's the limit for this guy. And he's in the 13th round. He was competing with another first-round pick with a lot of upside for this spot with Omar Cooper Jr., who I think is also a great pick in the 13th round. But I like the Jaguars' offense far more than the Jets, and I think Travis Hunter is a far better player and prospect than Omar Cooper Jr. So Travis Hunter is my round 13 click. If you don't want to draft a cornerback, I get it, but I think I'm drafting a wide receiver who went number 2 overall. 14th round, it's Marshawn Lloyd of the Green Bay Packers, backup running back. So far, it seems like he is the clear handcuff for Green Bay. They are excited about him. Obviously, with Marshawn Lloyd, the biggest question is health. This man cannot stay on a football field. He has not survived more than a couple games of NFL action. But the upside is there. He is a freak athlete. We kind of forget, but he is the perfect size for a 3-down back. He has great athleticism, great speed, great explosiveness. He gives the Packers something they don't have in their running back room. He is not a plotter. He is not a scat back. He is a true workhorse-sized running back. He has workhorse ability in his college profile. He has the draft capital in round 3. Everything points to this being a great handcuff pick, a great zero RB type of running back to have on your team in best ball or in redraft, especially with questions about Josh Jacobs, both health-wise and from a suspension standpoint. And I get it. Lloyd could get injured again. We can't predict injury, even if he has a very stark injury history. If that gives you pause, that's fine. But he's in the 14th round. We're talking about players now who are very likely to be zeros up and down the board. You are looking for players who, if they are not zeros, it's because they absolutely smashed. If Marshawn Lloyd plays a single game in relief of Josh Jacobs, if Jacobs misses a single game, Marshawn Lloyd will pay off that ADP. He will get 20 plus touches in that game. If he gets a single touchdown or multiple touchdowns or any receptions whatsoever, he's great. And he might work in even if Jacobs is healthy. Again, Jacobs is not an outstanding pass catcher. He's not the type of running back that they want to be playing that much. They did work in Emmanuel Wilson a bit last year. Wilson is gone. The only other real running back on their roster is Chris Brooks, who's more of a fullback than an actual running back. It's Marshawn Lloyd's job to lose. As long as he's healthy, he has a lot of contingent upside that you really want to have on a good Packers offense that loves to run the ball. Round 15 for me is another running back. This one's a little sketchier, but hear me out. It's Dylan Sampson of the Cleveland Browns. Quinshon Judkins is the unequivocal starter. Sampson pretty much has no real chance at usurping him outside of injury. And it's an offense that we project to be pretty awful, especially from a run perspective. Like, they're going to be trailing a lot. They're going to be behind. We don't like their quarterback situation. Their offensive line is bad. Their defense is going to take a major step back without Myles Garrett. And that all plays into why I like Dylan Sampson, because he's going to be the pass catching back for this Todd Monken offense. And he's going to play with two quarterbacks, at least two quarterbacks, who are going to be the types of quarterbacks who panic and who dump off the ball a lot and who check down a lot, as they're not going to get time. And whether or not they have good enough receivers to separate, time will tell. We like Casey Concepcion. We like Denzel Boston. Boston was a contender on this list, although as he rises, he stops being as much of a great pick. But even still, they're both getting good camp reviews. We love Harold Fannin. He was definitely in contention for this video as well. But Dylan Sampson is quick. He's a good pass catcher. He is a lightning to the Quinshon Judkins thunder. This guy could catch 50 passes this season pretty easily, and he doesn't need an injury. He doesn't really need anything to go right for him. He just needs the general expectation of what we're thinking is going to happen for the Browns to happen. Unless Quinshon Judkins just completely destroys Sampson in camp and just completely wins the pass catching job and is just the clear bell cow back first through fourth down every single drive. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's really in the cards. I don't think the Browns really want to use Judkins that way. And I think they like Sampson enough to want to get him on the field sometimes. So round 15, to me, Dylan Sampson's basically the last running back that you can really feel comfortable is going to give you some kind of floor, 6-ish points per game. Obviously, you hope for touchdowns. You hope for a big explosive reception. You hope for a game or two where he spots Quinshon Judkins and gets the majority of the workload. And in round 15, that's really all you're looking for, is give me 2 spike week games. That's all I want. Give me 2 games over 20 points. You can do nothing else the rest of the season. You've done your job in round 15. Round 16, it's going to be a quarterback. It's going to be Geno Smith. I know it's the Jets, but I like their offense this year on paper. I really do. Their offensive line is good, close to great, even if healthy. But the very worst good is long, obviously, health. is an important factor, but we cannot predict injury. Breece Hall is a great running back. Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, perfectly okay backup running backs. Garrett Wilson is a great wide receiver 1. Adonai Mitchell seems to be emerging as the clear wide receiver 2. You've got first-round pick Omar Cooper Jr. as their wide receiver 3, could become the wide receiver 2 over time. You have Kenyon Sadiq, first-round pick tight end. Has an injury, will probably get off to a slow start, but still the most athletic tight end we've ever seen. That will count for something. How much he produces in year 1, I don't know, but worst case scenario, they have Mason Taylor as well, who I don't think is all that great, but he is a average, totally fine tight end that can catch the ball with some competence. All that to say is that I think Geno Smith has a really good cast of talent around him. And if the Jets can protect Geno Smith, I think Geno Smith has proven that he can operate an offense while upright. The Raiders situation last year proved that he definitely cannot if you don't protect him. So that's really to me, that's the only bet you're truly making with the Jets, is if the offensive line holds up, Geno Smith will be perfectly fine. He'll be a great third tight end to tack on in best ball. He'll be a totally fine waivers matchup type of start at quarterback if you're streaming it in a 1 QB redraft league. Not someone worth drafting in redraft by any stretch, but in best ball where you don't have the ability to make waivers, third QB, I think Geno Smith has a lot of upside. He does have downside. There's a chance the Jets are just putrid again, and they could bench Geno Smith at the end of the year in the playoff weeks where all the money is won. But especially in total points formats like drafters, I think Geno Smith is an excellent click, especially in the 16th round. 4 more rounds, folks. Thanks for sticking around this long. We're almost there. And I've got some great names for you here at the end. Starting in round 17, Jeremy Bernard, rookie wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is pretty simple calculus. He has 2 wide receivers in front of him in DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr. Aaron Rodgers is not a good quarterback anymore, but he is a serviceable quarterback. He cannot throw deep anymore, which is fine because Jeremy Bernard is the type of wide receiver who can operate underneath. He can operate in the middle of the field. He's not afraid to take hits. He's not afraid to invite contact. He's not afraid to block. And he is a good enough route runner. So it really just comes down to, does Mike McCarthy lean into the NFL meta of playing more 12 and 13 personnel, in which case it's probably Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington on the field more? Or does he stick to his guns and he stay more in 11, where it's still Pat Freiermuth or Washington as the 1 tight end, but that third wide receiver is Jeremy Bernard? It's not going to be Roman Wilson. It's just not. Maybe they say that Wilson will start the season as the wide receiver 3, but it's going to be Jeremy Bernard. Roman Wilson is simply not talented enough and simply doesn't have a good enough skill set to keep Jeremy Bernard off the field. Again, good contingent upside. He can easily be a wide receiver in 12 personnel if Metcalf or Pittman go down to injury. It's not a good offense, but Mike McCarthy offenses are normally good. So even if you ding them for having a 40-plus-year-old Aaron Rodgers that can't throw the ball more than 30 yards anymore, even if this could be a totally fine offense. And in a totally fine offense, a high draft capital rookie with talent and physical traits with a lot of opportunities sitting in front of him in round 17 sounds good to me. You know, that was a pretty similar bet to what we were making with Jacoby Lane a month ago. And Jacoby Lane went even cheaper than Jeremy Bernard. And now Jacoby Lane is a round 13, round 14 pick. by ADP, which I think is still fine, but he's not a smash anymore like he was in the 18th round. But similar draft capital, similar type of position, but the Ravens offense, we are drafting as though they are guaranteed to be elite, and the Pittsburgh offense, we are drafting as though they are guaranteed to be awful. What if they're not awful? What if Bernard's just that good? You know, that's the bet I'm making in round 17 with Bernard. I just need one game out of him. That's really all I'm looking for. Just one game, one good opportunity. Round 18, it's Keenan Allen. I know he doesn't have an NFL team. I just don't care at this point. I just don't. Until he retires, I'm going to keep clicking him. And that could be a mistake. And in round 18, that's not a big deal. It's very hard to avoid zeros. Keenan Allen certainly has downside. He certainly has a risk of being a flat-out zero. But if he signs with an NFL team, he is not only not a zero, he is a smash, because he's not signing somewhere to be the wide receiver 4. He's signing somewhere to get targets, to play, and he will get targets and he will play. You know, we've been wondering if he's going to sign with the Colts these last few weeks. That seems a little less likely as time goes on and they continue to not sign him, but all it takes is one injury somewhere else. We're only in really the first week of true preseason. We have 2 more to go. Keenan is ready. He is not retired. He sounds like he wants to play for someone. He just hasn't picked his team yet. If this is a good situation that he picks, he goes up to like a 12th, 10th to 14th round pick, I would guess, just depending on what situation it is. Imagine if he's just the Ravens wide receiver 2 tomorrow. You know, Jacoby Lane plummets back down into round 17, 18. Elijah Surratt is undraftable, and Keenan Allen is a 12th round pick. So there's too much upside available for Allen. If he's playing, he's going to be a very safe, usable score for you in a decent amount of weeks. And that's what I want in round 18. Underdog, of course, only has 18 rounds. We'd be done with the draft at this point. We're going rounds 19 and 20, though, because drafters and DraftKings both go 20 rounds, have more players to talk about. And in round 19, we're going to the Baltimore Ravens, and we're going Justice Hill at running back. And you might be looking at me and saying, that's disgusting, Tim. And I agree. It's disgusting. But I just need to lay this out for you. We are excited about the Ravens offense pretty much universally. All of their ADPs suggest that. We're excited that Declan Doyle is calling the plays. We're excited that we're no longer stuck with the John Harbaugh regime, the Greg Roman offense, etc., etc. Derrick Henry is not a pass-catching back. He's just not. He's never going to be, especially at this point in his career. They want to keep him healthy for a playoff run. They're not going to overload him with touches. They're just not. So, with that being the case, they will have a pass-catching back. Keaton Mitchell is not on this team anymore. He is a Los Angeles Charger. He is a fun pick in his own right. He goes like 5 rounds earlier. So the options for the pass-catching back are Justice Hill, who has been the pass-catching back for the past, basically his whole career in Baltimore. Rasheen Ali, a late-round pick last year, who it was not a good pass catcher in college and does not have that in his profile. Or Adam Randall, who is a late-round rookie pick this year. And yes, he is a former wide receiver, but he's actually not a good receiver from the running back position. From a numbers and analytical standpoint, it's very weird. It doesn't really make any sense from a logic standpoint, but it is true. And all reports out of camp is that it's Justice Hill. You know, Justice Hill is going to continue to be the third down back, continue to be the pass catcher. if this is an explosive offense, a high-powered offense, a high-scoring offense, Justice Hill could, again, it's basically the Dylan Sampson bet for me. It's, what if this guy has 50 to 60 catches? And in a high-powered offense, that's valuable, even if he only scores like 4 touchdowns. In round 19, or if you want to take him in round 18 on underdog, like as the final running back on your team, there's a lot worse clicks you can make than Justice Hill. A lot worse clicks. I respectfully do not want to play musical chairs on the Miami Dolphins running back 2 situation in round 19. I don't want to figure out which one of the Colts running backs is the running back 2 for an offense that, if Jonathan Taylor is injured, is going to be absolutely abysmal. I don't even really want to guess on the 49ers backup running back at this price, because I don't think either of them become the workhorse if CMC is injured. And they're both injured as well. So I'd rather take Justice Hill. I know his role. I know that he's not going to just become the guy if Derrick Henry goes down, but he's also going to get work. And he's reliable, and the coaching staff trusts him, and the front office trusts him. Lamar Jackson trusts him. He's good enough. He'll have opportunity. He will have touches. He will score points. Not a lot of points. Enough. That's all I'm looking for in round 19, round 20, round 17 and 18 even. I'm just looking for a baseline of points. That's all you want in best ball. Unless you can get a clear indicator of someone who's just going to smash, we don't really have that so far. And if we do, they're not in this range anymore. They've climbed, like Jacoby Lane. Even like Cyrus Allen is climbing out of this range. The Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams in the last round type of season, I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to have that signal. And we're probably not going to get that type of talent and opportunity on a great team. So I think Justice Hill, totally cromulent round 19 pick. And in round 20, I can't quit him. I'm going to go back to the Ravens here. I'm going to go Elijah Surratt. I know that Jacoby Lane seems to have emerged as the wide receiver 2. That's great. He's climbed. Surratt is also talented. He's a different type of wide receiver from Jacoby Lane, from Zay Flowers. He just needs to beat out Rashad Bateman. And I think he can. I really do. I don't think Rashad Bateman is anything special on the NFL field. I don't think he can truly produce as any type of wide receiver 3. And I think Surratt has the upside that you want to invest in. Again, this is a great offense. This is an offense that we're hoping is fast-paced and explosive, and is hunting explosives, and is not going into 12 and 13 personnel all the time, which they seem to have signaled by letting Isaiah Likely walk. They only have Mark Andrews and a couple blocking tight ends that aren't really of consequence. So I think we're going to see a lot of 11 personnel from the Ravens. And I think really it's just a question of, can Elijah Surratt beat out Rashad Bateman in round 20? And if he can, then you have the 3rd to 4th option on the Ravens offense. And that's great in round 20. I just need one spike week from you. Just one good game. One game where you get a 75-yard touchdown, or you get 2 6-yard touchdowns in the same game. And we've paid off your ADP. You were a great pick. Fantastic. Thanks for being on my team. And that's the bet that I would rather make in round 20. I don't want to guess on who the Dolphins wide receiver 2 to 3 or 1 is at this point. I don't want to guess on who the Broncos wide receiver 4 is. I don't want to be taking Evan Ingram or Charlie Kolar or, any of those types of players. I would rather bet on upside. I would rather bet on a talented rookie profile on a good offense and see if that wins out. And it might not. It probably won't. But if it does, he's a smash pick. And if it doesn't, then he's a 0 in round 20. And so is basically every other pick in round 20 in all formats. Alrighty, folks. This was a long one. I appreciate everyone who's watched the video, who stuck with me all this time. Thanks so much for watching. If you have players that you like in specific rounds, comment them down below. Give us your reasoning. Join us on Discord. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate your support, and I will catch you guys later.